She began her nursing career in 1982. She specialized in surgery at the time. She worked with well-known training institutes. She has worked for the Medical University of South Carolina. She's expanded her nursing into aesthetics. That's amazing. So many more nurses are now coming into the aesthetic field and combining and really bringing us some great education to kind of expand on. So I'm going to let her take it away because she is incredible. I love watching her, I love listening to her, and I love watching her treat people on the floor. So, yeah. So your presentation is right here. She's going to be like, no expiration date here. All right. Okay. Building a lifelong aesthetic practice. So let her take it away.
Well, thank you very much. And in case you don't know this, I just got out of my Uber, and the Uber driver did not have one skin tag to bring in to treat. Normally, I'll bring in my Uber driver, we'll start the party off, but I was delayed last night and slept in the airport and dashed right here. So, I have no expiration date, obviously. So what I wanted to talk about today was how you can set up your practice the way you want to for the rest of your life. Now, when we start out our practices, we all do like the same things we've learned in school, and then we start learning procedures as we go. Who in the room is thinking about retiring when it's time for them to retire? Anybody? Raise your hands high if you think you really want to retire. Okay. And if you're like me, who my husband says I'll be in the assisted living, doing something to someone or trying to sell somebody a Skin Classic, because I just don't want to retire. I'm one of those, I'll be in semi-retirement for the rest of my career. And I call that I am in semi-retirement. So let me just make sure. Here, do I?
You can do it on the clicker too. Is it not working?
Okay, so whether you are going semi-retirement chick, maybe you're juggling kiddos, married a yacht owner, your aesthetic practice deserves to stay yours. Here's how to guide so that you can keep this fabulous lifestyle all the way through into your 70s. And that's just me with my turkeys. They're wild turkeys, but we all have different interests in life. Sometimes it could be our kiddos, sometimes it could be our grandkiddos. We want to adjust our work life because we're so lucky that we can make our own time. Of course, some of us do work in a spa or a salon where you do hit a clock, and that's fine too. But I know that most of you are solo estheticians, maybe working with someone. So it's really important to know that you're going to be able to change gears many different times in your aesthetic career. And for me, I just bought a farm this year, so I want to spend more time with the turkeys, the barn cats, the hay fields. So I have cut back, and I am in semi-retirement, although it doesn't really seem like it. So these are a few reasons why we really love our profession. Super easy, right? We don't have to punch a time clock. It's great for our families. How many of you adjust your schedules so that you can take the kids to soccer? So you might only see people Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday, but it might change up every season. So we're able to do that. That's a big draw. We have different hobbies, and your aesthetic practices can obviously substantiate an expensive hobby, and you can make time for your hobbies as well. And of course, we all know that if you're in the business for the business, you will make money. I wanted to start off with a few words of wisdom from one of our NASNPRO members. And everybody here, have you seen Cheryl Goodheim? She's been on the cover of NASNPRO. She's one of the associates, or what would you call that? Board members, right? Okay, so she's got a practice in California. She kicks ass. But I wanted to get a little advice from her because she's older than I am. And she wanted to let everybody know this, and just a couple of things that we should know, but to always run on time. Always book their next appointment before they leave. And you know, I thought I used to do that, but I didn't do it enough. And when you do something like that, your book fills up. I do mobile parties now. I don't have my office as of last September, so I started to semi-retire without the trappings of my office. I do mobile services. And what she told me there was something I didn't do. I made sure that somebody at the party booked a party so that I would have my next group of other new people to see. So as much as that, you know, I was always on time, you need to make those appointments. So just that one little shift will fill your book. And make sure that they always have products. I think does Cheryl do the private label with Sean? No? Is Sean, he might be out there.
Yes, she does.
She does, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And you know why? Because she always wants to make sure that they have her products. Now, I can say she's old because she is and I am. And someone like her, if she semi-retires and slows down, her people are still going to need to get those products. And if they're private labeled like she does, then they can't go anywhere else for them. So that is an important part of getting to that semi-retirement, making people need you, even though you don't want to be with them as long as you have them. You want to stay educated. NASNPRO is a perfect example. Everybody's here because they seek more education, they want to see what's new, and they want to bounce ideas off their peers. They want to be with like-minded people. And this is what she does every year in July. She starts her wish list, and I think this is really, really great. She gives her clients the availability in the book all year long. So she gets their standing appointments in the book, knowing too that sometimes things can change and somebody might need to deviate from their appointment, but she has it all laid out for the year. This way, when the client leaves at the end of their appointment, which all of her appointments are super quick, she doesn't really have to go to the book. She doesn't waste that time trying to go, okay, well, I have a doctor's appointment. She just has already had it booked. And this is for the majority of her clients. And you want to set yourself up for success. And if you do this, this will keep you in the game longevity. And she's going into her 42nd year of practice. So that's pretty amazing. And if you go to the other NASNPRO, she usually pops in other ones. She's always got her service dog Rowan too, so he's pretty cool. Okay, so semi-retirement. I know there's a lot of young gals in here, but I use that semi-retirement a little loosely because, hey, you might be going to have a baby. Maybe you're starting a family. So you are in that semi-retirement type of field. You can go ahead and make your appointments days whenever it is you want and streamline the time that you want to work. You can focus on your services, specific services. Offer your most popular, highest paying, eliminate all of the less profitable and demanding services. I think when a lot of people start their practices, there are a lot of things on their menu. If somebody's doing waxing, well, they have every part of the body that they can wax listed. And sometimes I hear from waxers, they don't do legs that much. It's mostly all the money is here, the face, neck, décolleté, Brazilians. So they can cut away some of those labor-intensive procedures like body waxing, and they can still do the waxing. They want to start getting rid of the real fluffy facials. Now, fluffy facials make up a lot of practices, but as we get older, we get tired. We don't have the stamina in our hands to do those shoulder massages. We don't enjoy the laundry any longer. We want quick efficacious procedures that will have your clients glowing within 30 minutes, maybe 45. So when you're young, you've got all that in you, and by God, do it. But if you want to slow it down, you're going to have a baby, you want to semi-retire, you want to start looking at those types of services. You know, quick, easy services. I'm sure most people in this room do chemical peels. Now, Cheryl does a ton of chemical peels. And if somebody will correct me if they're not in the room, but she can see up to 40 people a day. She's doing quick, fast peels. And she's got it down to a system. Now, it's either 42, I don't think it's 22, I think it's 42. So I'll have to ask Denise because she's told us before about that. So, microdermabrasion. You might do a microdermabrasion that might be filled with fluff and buff, but you can also knead those back so that they're more medical microdermabrasions. Cleanse, tone, microderm serum, LED maybe, and out the door. So that you can still give your client that great service that they want, because as you know, you can't just go cold turkey. You have clients that maybe you do want to do that fluffy facial for. Well, you can always have it for them, but start gearing your menu to more medicinal, quick procedures where room turnover is null, and they're high-paying types of services. I do the Skin Classic, very quick, for skin tags and keratosis and broken capillaries. That's a great one. I have a 5-minute LED, so of course my clients all get LED because it's only 5 minutes. But then, you know, there's all kinds of dermaplaning is in high demand. So those procedures don't take long, and I guarantee they're on your menu. But as you start later in your years, you may weed out some of the things that you do along with it for your new clients. And you can start to explore. If you're young, you're doing a lot of waxing. As you get older, you want old people like me in your office because I'm on time. It wasn't today, but it wasn't my fault. I'm on time, I have money, and I need aesthetic help. So start shifting, if you're thinking about the semi-retirement, into the older population. And there's ways to do that. Posting on Facebook, not always just Instagram. That's where all my old clients come from. They're all Facebookers. And I'm never mad at anyone because they are always on time and they always have money. It's the young ones that kind of give us that grief, like they have to switch their appointments so many times. So those kinds of things don't fit in well with a semi-retired practice. And of course, you can always explore different ideas, different things. You know, it's not always what goes on in the treatment room. There are things that go on outside. I have, like Colleen's over at my table. Colleen's been a Skin Classic trainer for me for what, like 10 years? How many? 12. Okay, so, and she's still going full tilt in her practice, but I have many trainers that work with me that have retired. One of our others that's in Washington, you don't know V, but she moved here way up north. She completely sold her practice in Utah, and she's a trainer for me. She's been one in Utah. Now she moved up here, and she was so thankful that she could be a trainer. She said, Steph, I felt like I was totally out of my aesthetic world, and now I'm back in it. Not that much, it's not in that high demand, but she goes and trains others on a piece of equipment for me, and she's getting her aesthetic yayas. So there are things that you can do. There are vendors that you may work with a specific company and absolutely love what you have offered your clients. It could be that they would be the ones that you might want to partner with in order to start that semi-retirement. You have so much to offer, especially the more mature gals that have a lot of experience. There are a lot of young estheticians that need our guidance. So you probably would be very well suited to work with companies. And you can just look around the room, you go to the trade shows, and those trade shows have estheticians come with them to support them in the trade show business. And so that can also blossom into something if you were worried about knocking down a little bit of your office time, but you're still in the game. So that could be the equipment, that could be education, it could be writing articles, it also could be doing online courses. A lot of you out there, and myself, I've written up courses online. It's not hard. There's only so many ways you can dermaplane someone, but if you made a dermaplane course and people looked at it and they know who you are, you might be selling your dermaplane course to others in your field. So just because somebody else maybe cornered that market, don't think that you shouldn't pursue that yourself. You know how nice it is to wake up and have somebody buy an online course in the middle of the night. It is exciting, and that does happen. So those are things that you can decide what you want to do as far as making sure that you still stay connected with your aesthetic world and still maintain a paycheck. So if you're thinking about doing something like this, and again, it could be for that one esthetician that is maybe starting a family, but you're nervous about, okay, how am I going to work once the baby's born? What am I going to do? I can't devote that much time away from the home. So you're going to structure your time really well. You're going to have your administrative work that everybody needs to do, and you're going to make sure that you have your self-care time. You need to really put those rocks on the calendar and make sure everything gets done, and then make your 3-day-week work schedule if you wanted to. You're going to streamline your operations, and I would probably venture to say that most people in the room do use online forms, correct? Pretty much. And online forms, for one reason why I absolutely love them, is because I can get all of the information that I need on my potential new client when I send them the online form. If they were coming in for permanent makeup and they're on blood thinners, well, I know that that would be a waste of time to book it like that. If they sign on my sign-up sheet or my intake form, that they have skin tags, well, I know that I'm going to talk to them about the Skin Classic. So getting that is really key, because guess what? That just saves you 15 minutes on nearly every new client. They come in, their paperwork is already done, and you can get to business because you've already studied what they have asked of you. So that is a good thing to do. If you don't do online, you really should. Some programs are free. I use Jotform, which is free. And I know most of you probably online book. So that's another big part of becoming semi-retired. You don't want to be on the phone. You want to be like Cheryl. You want to get people in your book, and the only time you need to talk to them is if they need to restructure their appointment time. So that way you can reduce that phone time, that message time, which would interfere with semi-retirement. It would for me. So if you're going to start this, you want to communicate with your clients. I told my clients before I went mobile that I was going to close my office, but I was still going to be available for them with mobile services. So I go to their home, they gather, they're all friends, they gather, I do their appointment, but I let them know. I didn't just close the office, or I didn't just go to 2 days a week. I really communicated with them, let them know my availability, and because I deal with mature people, their schedule is my schedule. They're not working, some of them, and they have the money, they have the time. And actually, most of my people are early morning people. I was generally out of my office by 10:30 in the morning, but I started at 6:30 because they wanted early appointments, so that I was done with my aesthetic day. That gives you that fluctuation, whatever you like to do. I have friends that only work from noon to 5 because they go to the gym in the morning. That's their lifestyle, and their clients have agreed with it. So, but you do need to let the clients know so that you don't don't upset them. And while you're at it, I know all of you are online pretty much, but a few of you aren't even on Facebook back there. You want that social presence, right? Because with social media, and for me especially, I've been at it so long, social media, that I very rarely make all new content. I'm going back and I'm getting all my old content and I repurpose it. I repurpose my training videos. So all of those years of me doing that, I've been setting myself up for semi-retirement. I used to train every Monday morning. Now I have an archive of videos that I can put out to people that I need to in my groups, estheticians that are familiar with the Skin Classic or the Dermafrac. So I repurpose many of those so that while I'm in semi-retirement, I'm not setting up and doing that every Monday. I've already done it. So you want that social presence, heavy duty as you're going through your paces, and then you will be able to coast with your older content. So I think that's real important because that's a big time sucker. I have Jen from Facets of Hospitality that helps me, but I still do a lot of it, and it can waste your time. And if you're in semi-retirement and you're chasing after a granddaughter or your own farm, you don't want to be bothered doing it. So those are great things to start really thinking about. You have great social media, but think about it for the longevity of it, and you'll be able to repurpose. So let's see. So again, exploring potential alternatives for people. And I did mention that some of you do work in salons and spas, and you do hit a time clock. Well, you might want to go part-time. Part-time is semi-retirement, and I know that places would not want to lose you, but they wouldn't want to lose you altogether. So you do have that ability to bargain with your spa owner, and then that might leave you some more time for education in other fields. Maybe if you were like Colleen, she's a Skin Classic trainer, that gives her time to be able to do that, and she reaches out to her people that she's trained. So it's a whole new world when you decide how you're going to structure that. You can do consultating services. There are many of you out there that have been around the block. You can be a mentor. People will pay to have you mentor them. Whether they come to your office, which is usually the case, or you go to them with the knowledge and all of the experience that you have on skin with different products, different companies. How many times have you talked to a young esthetician and they'll say, well, you know, I don't know, I've heard of RN faces, I don't really know much about them. And the esthetician might say, oh, I know Steph. Steph's been around forever, blah, blah, blah. You have a lot to offer young minds in this field. And if we work into semi-retirement, we're going to be with these people for many, many years. I'm 66, and so I'm going to be well into my 70s while I'm still working on clients and in my business as well. Online courses we talked about, teaching or educating. I know a lot of estheticians that go to the community colleges and they become teachers there. And it elevates their esthetician in them, and it makes them nurture the young estheticians, and those young estheticians are sometimes 50 and up, but they see that they want to give back to the community and they want to help in those endeavors. You should probably, like we said, develop your own skincare line. People have other lines in their office, but it is true. When they identify with you and your product, then they will buy that for a lifetime. If they like it, they're not going to go anywhere. They can't get it anywhere. So you're kind of holding them captive with that. And from what I hear, everybody just loves his products too. Partner with a brand. I've had people that had wanted to partner with me. They were using the Skin Classic, they just love it, and they wanted to be a trainer. They also wanted to distribute. So I take them under my wing, and Colleen sells the Skin Classic, she educates in the Skin Classic, and she's been doing it for years. She doesn't do one a week, but when she's called up to do it, she gladly says yes. And it gives you, and she's also a licensed instructor, but that kind of stuff just gives you, it elevates yourself, you know. Oh, I'm a trainer for DNK. Oh, you know, I distribute Tizo. You know, whatever it is something that you had to work for, because nobody just says, oh great, Colleen, you want to be a trainer for me? No, they had to have experience. They had to meet objections. And as we get older, we've met so many objections that we can educate very, very succinctly. So once you've kind of done this, and I do this for myself, I'm always reflecting and adjusting, trying to make what I've done better. My practice from 1993 up until now has changed course so many different times depending on my lifestyle. And so you want to regularly assess your work-life balance. A lot of us don't. We wait till we get to the point that we're burned out and we're like, oh boy, I mean, I was working so hard at semi-retirement, I said to my husband, I think I might want to sell my business. And then after a couple days, I went, no, I'm not going to sell my business because my business is too easy for me. I had a big week. I had a very busy week. And so it was just too much. All the clicking, all the phone and all that. And we get like that. So that's when you have to sit back, reflect on what's going on, and put a system in place to stop it. And it wasn't selling my practice. You want to continue your professional development. You want to stay tuned in with things like NASNPRO, or when you go to IECSC, sign up for as many classes as you can. The sponsors here also do classes and offer education, so that as well is staying within that educating lane. And be careful with like planning and exploring your options. You can successfully transition into a fulfilling semi-retirement. And I like that word, semi-retirement. It makes you sound a little rich too. Like if you're young in your 20s and you think, well, I'm gonna semi-retire. Sounds like you're there. So I'd like to say I'm semi-retired. And that still means that I have my foot in one door because I definitely need to stay in this industry. I really don't know what I would do. If I could sell my business for whatever I would want to sell it for, I don't know what I would do with myself every day. I just can't do it. I would have to pull one of these things out of my hat to fulfill myself. So you want to be careful, and so that you get more of a balanced lifestyle. Is anybody here sort of in semi-retirement? You are you? And you are very busy in the industry. You speak, right?
Yeah.
No? Yeah, I thought so. See? Right. So how many days a week do you work?
As many as I want.
Oh, that's the bingo. That's perfect. Right. And so we have a glass ceiling above us, and so you can work as hard as you want. I've worked like a dog and loved it, but I don't want to do that anymore. So I love self-retiring. It's just the bomb. You know, I have to watch those turkeys and all. And so I just want to let you know why I love NASNPRO so much. Maybe this is overstepping just in the past 24 hours, we'll see. Being a NASNPRO Diamond sponsor is like having a backstage pass to the ultimate spa show. From traveling coast to coast, which I did last night, slept in the airport, soaking up knowledge and building lifelong relationships to share and laugh together, learning from passionate people in the business. This experience is as intimate and educational as it gets. These groups, these smaller groups, we get to know each other. So I am proud to support a community that's all about camaraderie and elevating the industry. So make sure today, while you're here, you might know a couple people, but really try to get to know your people right here at the Seattle NASNPRO, because your peers, you can bounce ideas off of each other. It's a really good way to network because we all are like-minded here. And that's just my contact info. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm doing a Be Live tomorrow at a training in Phoenix. So if you go to my page, RN Faces, you'll see some of those and maybe even get some ideas yourself on how to go about maybe making some videos for later on in life when you semi-retire. So that wraps it up for me, guys.